Welcome to the Winning in Business podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Rissy, and I love talking to business professionals, leaders, and entrepreneurs who are winning in business. Are you ready to reach your next level of success? If so, join us on the Winning in Business podcast as I interview entrepreneurs, business professionals, and leaders who share how they've risen to success. Before we begin, go ahead, hit subscribe and the notification button so you'll be notified each time a new episode is released. Plug in and settle in. You're about to be inspired to rise up to your next level of success.
Welcome to another episode of Winning in Business. I'm your host, Kelly Rissy, and today I am here with guest Tammy Alvarez. And Tammy is the CEO of the Career Winners Circle. She's an author, professional keynote speaker, inspirational coach, and former corporate executive. Her spirited break all the rules approach blends C-suite experience with a pragmatic, results-based coaching style that helps business professionals create a big impact and love every Monday again. Tammy, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you taking time to be on the show today.
Kelly, thank you so much. I've been looking forward to our conversation for a while now. So I'm glad we're here and able to really reach out to your community. I'm excited to have the conversation today.
Yes. And I know you have such an amazing story. So get into it of how did you get into doing what you do? Share the journey with us.
Yep. And, a lot of twists and turns in this journey, but we'll keep it short because we got so many good things to talk about today. I spent most of my corporate career as an executive on Wall Street. So I'm a New Yorker, and Wall Street was my playground. And so at the height of my career, I was managing 2,000 people in 35 countries, had the big job, the big paycheck. My team we were known to be transformation experts. So when everyone was running out of the burning buildings, my team and I were running in. And fortunately, financial services always has a crisis. So we were never bored. And I loved the complexity and the politics and all the things for decades until I didn't. And I remember this one moment where I was sitting in a boardroom and I got this disease that I did not know was terminal. And it was a chronic case of I don't give a shit-itis. And I just, like all the things I loved, one day I just didn't. And so 6 months later, cashed out of Wall Street, moved to a tropical island off the coast of Belize in Central America and started this business. And it was probably the most terrifying thing I have ever done. Because I've never been an entrepreneur, had no idea what I was doing, moved to a tropical island. My boyfriend and I had finally gotten our act together. So we were living together. So all these new things were happening at one time. And as I was moving into this entrepreneurial journey, I have made every possible mistake you can imagine. And I can't wait to kind of tuck into some of that for our listeners today so that you can make new mistakes, not the ones that I've already made.
Yes, I love that. I think that's the biggest thing as entrepreneurs that we can do, right? I do feel like sometimes we do have to make our own mistakes, even if however that turns out. And I always love hearing what other people did that didn't work and how can I apply that to my own business, my own learning, so that I can get there faster.
That's right. Yeah.
By listening to someone else. Okay, so let's jump in then to it. What are some big ahas then that you want to share? Like, what are the mistakes, the ahas that you feel like we could really benefit from so that we can learn?
Absolutely. And I think the first mistakes I made early in is I kept building things that no one wanted to buy. I knew they needed it, but no one else wanted to buy it. And I was like, okay, how does this actually work? How do you make money as a coach, as a consultant? Because when I cashed out of Wall Street, I did that about 10 years before I expected to. So I always expected to have a coaching business in my soft retirement. When you got too old to work in Wall Street, you age out, right? And so it's like, I'll do board work and some coaching. That was the extent of my business plan. So I pulled the plug 10 years earlier. So I was not building a company to keep me viable. Like I'm building an empire, right? Because now I've got energy and 10 years to go. And so I could not figure out how to stop worrying about where the next client was coming from. And I tried all of the things that all the experts says to do, like all the funnels and all this and all that. None of it works because unless you've got a team of 30 and $17 million to invest in advertising, these are great ideas, but they actually don't work. And so by going through this and following all the experts, realizing it doesn't work and what to do next, I cracked the code. And about 2.5 years in, I changed my business model. And it has been, a worry-free model ever since. So I'm really excited to talk to the community about, how to maybe rethink your business and get off that client acquisition hamster wheel that just stresses us all out.
And now, is this a business? Is this a business model? Is this the model that helps everyone scale, or is this the model to start, or both? Is this, it doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah, anybody can use this, right? I wish I had known this the day I started my business, because even as I was figuring out how to get customers, I was going to, if I had done this earlier, then I would have been able to keep the customers that I had longer, right? And so I moved my business into a subscription model. And when you get that recurring revenue, then it starts to change everything. And what I found is when we started doing that, our client acquisition numbers were the same. So we got the same number of new customers year after year, but our revenue more than doubled, right? Our net promoter scores in terms of client satisfaction went through the roof. Referrals increased and my stress decreased because I knew I had money coming in every month. And so I had so many misconceptions about this in terms of it had to be a low ticket membership offer, or it had to take a lot of tech, or it had to take, there's all these things that I just felt was going to be in the way of success. And when you clear out all the junk and you really just look into your business, you can find these opportunities, which has been a game changer for me and the clients that I coach to do this now.
Do you feel like every industry can do a membership / subscription? Do you consider them the same? Membership and subscription.
Yeah, we're going to call recurring revenue just in a big bucket, right? Now, I tend to think, and there's some high-end memberships, don't get me wrong, but most of the time, we're slinging memberships at $29.97, right? And hoping that we get the volume of people to make it worth it. And it doesn't work. And so what I did is, instead of going to talk to a client and trying to convince them to pay me $10,000 up front, and then get them to spend another $10,000 when we were done, regardless of how happy they were, that was hard. Yet when you're bringing clients in at, let's say, $1,500 or $2,000 a month, then they end up spending $25,000 with you because they continue to get the value. So what we found is, with my clients and the clients that are coaches, we have 5 coaches on the team that they work with, they stay with us longer, not because they're not getting the results, but because the results they're getting are so far beyond what they thought they could accomplish that they're in over their skis and need more help for growth. And any business can do this, whether you're a product business, consulting, any kind of services-based business, because here's the trick in terms of how we have to think as business leaders. We need to really follow our clients' journey from where are they before they need us? Where do they go after they need us? And which different rabbit holes might they go down? Right? From a product or services perspective. And now we've been doing this for 7 years now, so we've got the time. But when we think about coaching, right, we can coach on everything from, I don't know how to interview, to, I need to choose a board of directors for my company, and everything in between. And so you're not limited to being what I call a one-trick pony, right? Because you want to be a drug, not a painkiller, And so when you get to that point where you are part of their advisory board, and you are helping them grow and they're excited about that, you'd be surprised how fast this works. So what I did is, I didn't do the low ticket thing. Well, I did 3 times and it didn't work, right? So I gave up on that idea. Slow, not stupid. It took me a while to figure out this doesn't work for my business. And I changed those high ticket coaching SOWs for a subscription. And so there's, everyone moved to subscription, and it's not it's about between $1,000 and like $3,000 a month, depending on the business that we're working with and whether it's individual or not. But so anyone and everyone can do this. But some of the mistakes we fall into, like, we've got 3 myths that hold us back, right? We think that subscription has to be low cost. It doesn't, right? We think that it's time intensive. And it's no more time intensive than the time that you're spending serving your clients now. And then we think that it's not applicable. Like it won't work for my business because, we do a lot of business to consumer, but we also do a lot of business to business. And those business to business clients are also on a subscription. So you can make this work everywhere. So I think those are 3 myths that if we're sitting here listening to us today and you're like, oh, that doesn't work for me. I bet you it does. Because I haven't found anyone that really where that doesn't serve, right? And where that mindset shift doesn't come in handy.
So I'm so curious, are there any frequently asked questions that you feel like my listeners are like, oh, these are probably questions going through their head right now?
Yeah.
That we should just cover.
Yeah. And I think part of the questions that I get from my newer clients that are adopting this, like, oh, they look at our inventory of all the things we can do and they're like, I don't have that. I'm like, neither did I.
And you know what I love about this, Tammy, is I feel like as a coach, everybody's like niche down, niche down, niche. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like I can do all these things, right? And I can help here and here and here. Like I can do all the things. So I love this because it's very difficult sometimes for me to be like, I only do this. No, it's not only what I do. We can start there, but I do this and this and this and this and this. And as you said, as you evolve over time, you're going to need this and this and this and this and this.
Correct. And so you niche in on the people you serve. Not the way you serve.
Not the way you serve.
Right. Because you want to niche in. So you like very often, I will be on a call with somebody I don't know. And they're like, you need to get out of my head. Whether it's a social media post or an email or something, it's like, it felt like you're sitting in my head talking to me. And I'm like, that's because I know who we're serving.
Yeah.
And so, I'm a big fan of niche in on who you serve, but broaden how you serve and think about, because one of the things that I talk about is this value pyramid. Right. And so your value pyramid, most companies come into what I call the lowest base, which is you're fixing a problem. No one buys something, whether it's a service or product, especially a service, a coaching service where life is great. It's like, everything's so fantastic. I think I'm just going to buy a coach. Like I'm just going to spend money. Like no one does this. So we're in here to fix a problem. And most companies do that well. But then the next thing is that we need to focus on how to help our clients capitalize on their opportunities. Because once you fix the problem, now the next thing is, well, how do we grow? And where's the opportunity versus that scarcity mindset that usually brings most people across our door? And then once we've gotten to the point where they have the tools, the resources, the products, whatever it is that they need to start really playing bigger and capitalizing on the opportunities in the space you serve, then you move into innovation. And how do you help your clients be innovative in their life, in their businesses, or whatever way that you serve? So that is the value pyramid we should all be striving for. And most of us don't get off the base level.
Love that. Oh, yes. Such a great topic. Listeners, I don't know about you, but if you see me over, or if you're watching on YouTube, if you see me over here, I'm taking notes.
This call is being recorded for quality assurance, so that's good.
It is being recorded. Yeah. If you're listening, go back and rewind and get some of these points one more time. So I love the value pyramid and that innovation thing. You have got to get all of us. It doesn't matter if we're a business owner, if we're in a career. The innovation piece is so important because being creative and innovative, like that's what keeps us going into the new phases. You know what I mean? Like, and not getting stuck and stagnant, and getting to that point is to me so important. It's key, really.
Absolutely. And it makes things, to your point, much more interesting. But then the opportunities for growth are so much more significant. And guess who gets the credit for that? You do, right? As their partner in crime, like, they did all the work. They put everything, whether they, bought services or products, to use, but you're the one who gets the credit. And I think one of the biggest questions, Kelly, that I get asked is like, how do I start? Like, I'm in this rat race and trading time for money, and I'm on the hamster wheel, stressed out every month about where my new clients are going to come from and all these things. And the reality is there's 3 foolproof ways to start doing this today, right? First one is use a page out of my playbook and use your existing customers.
Yeah.
And move them into a subscription model, high ticket, whatever you're doing, the next time it comes up for renewal.
Mm-hmm.
right? And just like, oh, we're moving to this. So guess what? You don't have to cut me a $10,000 check anymore. We can still work together. And then, I had 100% conversion rate over the clients whose contracts were ending the old way and moved into the subscription. And so don't think it can be done. It absolutely can be. The second place to start this is go to your alumni customers and go to the ones that haven't worked with you in a while. And, because again, that price point, the modularity that you have in your ability to serve, all of those things are new and exciting. And I probably got, I want to say about 20% of my alumni customers reactivated.
Nice.
Which was really cool.
Yes.
And I created nothing new.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's be clear, like I didn't sit out there and content create forever. Like this was just stuff we were doing anyway.
Yep.
And so it's simple model. And then I think the last thing is, if you wanted to create a new offer, so go to your customers, then your alumni, and you're going to have a nice base. And that base should be able to fund some of the new projects that you've wanted to work on and be able to track those customers that you weren't able to get before. But I would encourage you, don't play small. Like I've got a really good example. I was coaching a new client and we've been together for a couple of weeks now. He's in the middle of a big launch, his first launch. We met him on a podcast, Kelly. He turned into a client. So that's kind of how that worked out. And he's got like 3 different levels of offers. Because I do believe when you're doing anything, you price it small, medium, large. And think about it like almost a software chart where you get this much for free, then this much and this much, for a little bit more, and then you get all of it for a lot more. So follow that model because psychologically people always buy the middle.
Yes.
And so, because they don't want to be the cheap one, they don't want the super expensive one unless it really meets their needs. And so he has these 3 plus a free offer for a community, which is great. And he was trying to start with the free community. I'm like, what are you doing? Like start with your premium people that you think will want that, because then they're going to move to the medium, then go to your medium people. They're going to move to the small. Then you feel the free thing because you're not going to get a free person to spend $3,500 a month with you.
Right.
But you will get someone who could afford $3,500 a month to spend $2,000.
Yeah.
And so let's not play small. Let's think about this, in terms of the value that you deliver, the transformation and the experiences that you give your customers, and play bigger to start with, because that's just going to make everybody happier. I have personally found, I'm curious to see if you think the same thing, but when I always had pricing anxiety, always. And when I look at what I charged in the beginning, it's kind of funny. But the more people pay, the more they work on it and the more they value it. And, and so, sometimes lowering your prices is actually a disservice to your clients and to you, because they're just not going to put the work in that they need to get the value that they expect out of it.
Yes. One of my big VIP offerings is a 1-day breakthrough, which is just a deep dive.
Yeah.
And I have had people that are like, oh, someone in my family, my spouse, my daughter, my whatever, needs this. Could I purchase this for them? No.
Same. Absolutely.
They don't have skin in the game. Like you have to have skin in the game, or you're not going to show up and care, and you're not going to do the work. And you know what I mean? Like it's just not going to mean the same for you as when you have skin in the game. And so I 100% agree. And how many people have bought nothing against those of you that might have this, the $49 at-home do-it-yourself course and never finished it
or opened it?
Yes,
I'm the impulse buyer, never open it girl, right? I do this all the time on the weekends when I'm scrolling Instagram. I'm like, oh, I need this in my life. I spend $30 and never look at it again, right? It's
right.
But that's not what we're here for. We're not here to collect $30 and move on with our lives, right? So
And so for me, you asked about the price anxiety. One of the things for me, like I had to overcome the whole money mindset. And thank goodness through my training, through the work that I do, like I was able to do that. And I know that is a big thing that I help business owners with as well, is overcoming money mindset, because that is huge depending on how you grew up, how you view money. And, again, admittedly, had to overcome some of it myself and switch my thinking around to it, to be able to charge the prices that I charge, say it like it rolls off my tongue. We always say, like, you need to be able to say your prices just like pass the salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Pass the salt and pepper.
That's
not
right.
a big deal. Like to roll off your tongue.
Well, it's interesting. So I was back in corporate. My roles were very mostly chief operating officer. So, COO type roles. And you know, backstory, I didn't go to college until I was 40. So I had a very unusual trajectory in my career. And so as a result, I was underpaid and didn't know it. And so as I become the CEO or the COO, like I realize how significantly underpaid I am. I'm like, are you kidding me? And some really good people on the team. And so the next time I made a move, I'm so glad this was over the phone because I would never would have been able to do this with a straight face. But I was negotiating for an exit to a different company. As the chief operating officer for the organization, he asked me what my compensation requirements were. And I threw out a number that was literally triple what I was making.
Nice.
And I was already making decent money. And he said, okay. I was like, are you kidding me? I left money on the table, right?
I know.
Had I not known and had the secret code of what everyone else was making, I would have never known that.
Yes.
Right. And for those of you who do have pricing anxiety, you know, we can all be the president of the pricing anxiety club. One strategy to use is every time a customer pays you for something, raise your prices.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And then ask for that results. Like, did it work? Because, you know, and the other thing, every time now I start something new, I'll send that out to, you know, kind of the family, right? The CWC family. I'll be like, does this resonate? How much would you pay? And almost every time they're going to pay more than I would have charged.
Yes.
So listen to your customers. They'll tell you what they want and how much they're willing to pay for it.
Yes, because when we are solving a problem, I mean, I look at the problems in my life, in my business. What am I willing to pay to solve a problem?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because if I don't solve the problem, what is it costing me? Usually a whole lot more than what that could in the long run than what I'm going to pay to actually have an expert help me.
Yes. Well, and right this year, for some reason, CWC is minting a whole bunch of new fractional CXOs.
Okay.
So we got these people leaving corporate that, you know, are tired of the grind. And so they're moving into fractional chief revenue officers or financial officers or whatever. And so they're doing their business owners for the first time and they're commanding top dollar and feeling incredibly guilty for it. And, you know, because it doesn't feel like they're working because they're used to working 60 hours a week for half the money.
Right.
And one thing to remember, especially for consultants and advisors, is that your clients are not paying you for the 15 minutes it took for you to solve the problem.
That's right.
Your clients are paying you for the 20 years it took to solve the problem in 15 minutes.
Yes.
And when you start to get out of that trading time for money rat trap and start to realize the impact that you're making in individuals and organizations' lives and how the business will succeed, then all of a sudden the guilt goes away real fast.
Yes. Yes. Reminds me of the plumber story, right? Like, how much do you pay the plumber? Like, it's not the time, it's the where he banged. I don't know. I don't remember the exact analogy, but it's so good. And it's just like that, what you said. So, oh, that's fabulous. Tammy, you've brought so much insight into today, into scaling a business, into the prices that we need to be charging, the value that we need to add. So question for you, and I always ask this question: what are challenges that you face as a business owner? Because I like to keep it real.
Yeah. So right now, our latest challenge, because I love always doing something new. And for a long time, most of our business has been the business to consumer model. And so now we are moving into a full scale business to business model. And so now that challenge is, okay, how does this work? Right. And what are the offers we're putting together and how do we go to market in a way that's compelling? Because this, you know, being able to do this, we have a solution called Amplify 360. And what it's about is we are on a mission to eradicate the apathetic haze that has taken over companies. Like people just don't care anymore. And when especially in the middle market, which is the area that we're serving, when you look at all the headwinds that the middle market is facing in terms of high interest rates and supply chain and AI and all these things, the one thing that shows up as one of the top 3 for every middle market industry, regardless of what sector, is what they call the talent shortage crisis. And I'm like, I got news for you. You have everything you need right under your nose. You just don't know how to activate it. And that's what we're in the business of doing. And that's what I'm just so excited about. It's just helping companies. And if we get in and out in 3 months, like this is not a long-term culture play. This is in, out, and, you know, and re-energizing an organization that wants to care, right? And showing organizations how to do that effectively and sustainably. You know, so that's our biggest challenge now. And then we're also, this terrifies me a little bit. We're doing a live summit in New York City in April of next year. So we did a virtual summit. It's called Disrupted: The Future of Work. And we had a virtual summit this April. We're going to do virtual again, but we're adding a live day. So that is going to be so much fun, and it has me completely terrified. So I'm right in my wheelhouse.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. If you're not terrified, then you're not out of your comfort zone,
right? Exactly.
Excellent. And what did you say the summit was called?
It's called Disrupted.
Disrupted. Thank
you.
The
future, and there's the Future of Work Summit.
Yes. Oh, nice. Excellent. So I feel like those were challenges and goals all rolled into like what you're doing, right? Yeah. Totally. So excellent. What accomplishment are you really proud of? I always say we don't brag on ourselves enough. So let's brag on yourself a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, right? So the accomplishment that I'm most recently just super excited about is I published my first book in January. It was like birthing a 10-pound baby. It just felt like that every day. And it's called Escaping the Career Trap. And the subtitle is Transform Your Apathy into Ambition and Never Hate Mondays Again. Nice. And, and that's really where this B2B thing came from, because the book is written for the disenfranchised worker. Like if you hate Mondays, you really need to read the book, and obviously come into our coaching programs. But what I was surprised about, because a key part of what we talk about in the book is becoming that CEO of your career. And when you become the CEO of You Inc., you start to make very different decisions and show up very differently that benefit not just you, but the company you're working for. And so that's the premise of the book. But what I didn't expect was companies to pay me to come in and deliver this message, because they want their people to stop blaming the system for their crappy jobs and start to take a little more accountability. Yeah. And so it goes both ways. And so that's where the inspiration from Amplify 360 came in, because it never even occurred to me that businesses would care and want their people to hear that message and see the value in it for the business, in terms of long term. So the book was my big accomplishment. We published it in January for New Year, New Me. And so that is the thing that I'm just most excited about right now.
Oh, that's fabulous. Congratulations.
Thank you.
If you are a business owner, you probably know a lot of people that are in a career and that hate Mondays. I mean, I can think of 3 off the top of my head. So that I will be recommending this podcast and recommending Tammy's book, Escaping the Career Trap.
Yep.
Yes. So please make sure that you pass that book on. And it was interesting what you said just about companies bringing you in. As someone who speaks also, and I speak on workplace anxiety, and you know what? I also go in, and it is not about blaming the system.
No,
it is about talking to the people about what are you doing and who are you being that you are kind of living into the anxiety, right? Like, what do you need to be doing differently? Where are your boundaries? Things like that. So, and that is welcomed, because both have to take place. The company, I feel like, they have to do their part, and the individuals have to do their part as well.
Exactly. And that's where I think that the uniqueness of Amplify 360 comes, because we take a 3-pronged approach.
Yeah.
We teach the employees how to become the CEO of their career.
Yes.
We teach the leaders how not to screw this up.
Yes.
I was like, oh, hang on a second. I don't actually like you having an opinion like that, right? So we teach leaders not to screw this up and to grow it. But then we work with the board and the executive team to unwind the well-intentioned but destructive policies that are taking the organization in the opposite direction of travel. Like stupid things like, you have to interview with 17 people before you can get a job. And you have to stay in a role for 2 years before you can promote out, because that's the best way to have your best people go to your competition. Or you're only going to get 20% of an increase with a promotion, even though it's going to cost me 45% to hire somebody from the outside. And these are just some of the low-hanging fruit things that everybody does because you're supposed to. Don't work. Yeah. And, so by taking that 3-prong approach and getting the teams empowered, showing the leadership how to channel that in the most positive and great direction ways, and then focusing on like, hey, what is leadership and what is the management team? What are they looking at? How do they measure success? And when you do these 3 things together, it's like magic. It just comes together.
Tammy, I just love you. I really do. I am telling you what, I just see the corporate background from you shine through. I see how you can help B2B. I see how you can help B2C. I see how, like seriously, listeners, there are probably at least 3 people that you can take this podcast to, this YouTube episode, and pass it on to, because Tammy has given us so many great nuggets of how we can scale, how we can move forward, how we can have the best career, how we can be the CEO of us.
That's it.
So, Tammy, is there anything that you would like to give the listeners, and
always a gift, right?
Yes,
So,
is there a gift?
yes,
Yep.
exactly. So for our business and entrepreneurs and things like that, we have got a free assessment to see if your business or how ready your business is to start a subscription and recurring revenue model. And so you do a quick, evaluation. I look at it, and then we actually meet for a laser coaching session, and that is free. So anybody who's listening to this podcast, you'll have the link in the show notes. And then the other thing I also ask is reach out to me on LinkedIn and connect and tell me you heard the show and what you liked and what you didn't. Because I love to just get feedback from listeners and, and build those relationships. I have a big network, love to help people grow. So please reach out and let's see how we can do that for each other.
Excellent. Tammy, thank you so much for bringing your wisdom today to the show on Winning in Business. Listeners, please be sure to get the assessment. Also connect with Tammy on LinkedIn. And if you will make sure that you subscribe and also forward this to someone that you know. And we will see you next week for another amazing episode of Winning in Business. And until then, keep winning and rise up and live. Have a great one.
Thanks.
Thank you for being a part of the Winning in Business podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to rise up to your next level of success, but are worried about increased stress, time for work and yourself and your family, not to mention being exhausted, I'd like to invite you to a complimentary strategy call where I'll show you how you can do it all. I'll help you reclaim time, keep your sanity, handle the chaos with ease, and move to the next level of success that you deserve and desire. I hope you found value in listening today. Please always leave your comments, feedback, or questions. We check them all. I want you to continue winning in business and reach your next level of success. See you next time.